Welcome to episode 32 of the Hoop Threads podcast. Here with two Big East legends, Chris Wright and Austin Freeman. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty
All right,
good.
Doing good, AP. What's up?
all right, man. So big fans of the podcast. First off, got a shout out to Dawg Talk podcast. I know Chris got the merch there. Got to represent. So really appreciate you guys sharing some of your experiences and bringing on some great people to talk, even if it is the Georgetown Hoyas. So let's get it going. Let's talk first about, Chris, tell us about your basketball journey, how you got started, grassroots, people that looked out all the way from there to Georgetown.
Um, well, for me, I mean, I'm a PG County kid. I was born in PG County, and it's kind of just. I mean, if you're from the area, you eventually going to gravitate to basketball. It's a sports town, and basketball is our biggest sport. And I have an older brother, and my pops he put me in football and basketball. So I started out playing in Temple Hills with Silver Hill Bears and all that stuff, and then I just slowly migrated. We moved to Bowie eventually, and played with Bowie Ballcats or Bowie. What was the name? Bowie Bulldogs, I think at the time, or something like that. And yeah, man, I just was in the gym, and it just started taking off from there. And I started playing, and I started playing AU with my young AU team, Maryland Rising Stars, and we won a national championship when I was 10 years old. We won like 5 gold medals in the AAU regionals, um, and it just started taking off from there, man. I was just into the game from a very very early age. I want to say like 7, 8 years old. I was really into the game heavy.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Then you ended up going to St. John's as well. Tell us a little bit
Yeah, yeah. And then I played for after playing with Maryland Rising Stars, I played with DC Assault for a couple years.
about
I think 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 years, and then I moved over to Boo Williams down in Hampton, Virginia,
mm.
and then yeah, went to St. John's for 4 years and Georgetown, and been playing pro ever since.
Got you. What about you, Free? Home team. Let's talk to Matha.
I mean, it's kind of
You
along
take
the same
that on
lines as
with that
Chris,
Syracuse shirt on.
right?
Sorry, man.
But it's been along the same lines as Chris. Pretty much just gravitate to the game. Um, you know, Probably started around like maybe 5. Playing little intramurals and stuff like that. Played county basketball. Played with Bowie. And mine was a little different because I was playing up as a younger kid. Um, so it was just a little different experience for me. Just playing with the older kids, um, and won a bunch of county championships. Then started playing AU. My team was kind of funny because it was like, no offense, but it was 9 black kids and 1 white coach, pretty much. White coach was crazy as hell. His name was Danny Mayo. He was my coach from, I would say, like maybe, I want to say like 7 and under all the way up into almost high school, pretty much, or to 7th grade. Say 7th grade. And then, I played with, the Maryland Crusaders, played with the DC Blue Devils. After DC Blue Devils, I played with the DC Assault, for like my last 2 years of high school. Went to DeMatha, played there, played Chris a bunch of times. We won't really get into all that, but
We can get into it. I ain't tripping.
we won't got to get into all that or whatever.
We was talking off air about it, man. I was like, I was at rivalry in high school. I was like, shit, it wasn't really a rivalry, because I never won, but I got buckets. I can say that much. I got a whole lot of buckets. I ain't never win, so it wasn't too much of a rivalry.
But yeah, went to the math to play Chris a bunch of times. Committed to go to Georgetown my junior year. Chris was going to NC State, but he decommitted from there. And, you know, I kind of helped that recruitment process once he left, once he decided he wasn't going to NC State. You know, both went to Georgetown, had, you know, great careers over there, played pro for 8-9 years, and, you know, been a coach ever since now. So.
I mean, so let's talk, you know, you kind of touched on your careers, you know, so I'm going to go through some accolades real quick. So, you know, Chris, Jordan Brand Classic, won the 3-point shooting contest at the McDonald's game, Gatorade DC Player of the Year, averaged 35 and 4 as a senior. So he was not lying about those buckets. 3-time All-Met performer. And I heard that you scored 57 points against Bishop Walls. What were you upset that day? What happened?
3-time first team All-Met.
First team All-Met.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
3-time first team All-Met. And yeah, Bishop Walsh was, you know, you play in that Alhambra tournament at the end of the year. I don't know if they still, I don't know if that's still, if they still doing that. Okay. So Bishop Walsh was just a local team at the time. And it actually was my last high school game. And I just was like, I mean, I got to go out with a bang. And they weren't really that good. So, you know, I just had to really, you know, that's just kind of how my senior year went. I probably had 5 or 6 40-point games that year. I was just playing really well my senior year.
Goodness. Yeah. I heard that you were the, you know, with the 3-time first team All-Met. I think the only person to do it before you actually went to DeMatha, Adrian Dantley, exactly. So Free, so, you know, 3-time WCAC champ, you know, and All-Met Player of the Year as a senior, Jordan Brand Classic and McDonald's All-American, 2-time All-Met, averaged 23, 7, and 4. So, you know, for both of you, what was the first moment that you knew that, you know, you could make a career out of this, that this is what you wanted to do, you know, that you noticed that you were better than the people around you?
All right, I'll answer first. I knew very early for me. I mean, I was very confident in my game, even at 10 years old. I always felt that I was one of the best players in our area. And I always competed. Like I said, I had an older brother too, so I always competed against older players as well. You know, my brother's 4 years older than me, and I used to play with his team, and I was holding my own and making plays and stuff. So I always knew that, you know, that was kind of going to be the path for me. I knew I was different in the sense of my game. I was just kind of, you know, advanced talent-wise at a very young age. So shoot, I won a national title at 10 years old. So from that point on, I knew I could make some things happen with the basketball. So
who was on that team?
Markel Starks was on that team. Kenny Tate, another DeMatha guy, was on that team. LJ Hose, who went pro, he played pro baseball. Corey Neal, who now has his own trucking business, went to St. John's, played college football. And then a lot of local guys, you know, just from the neighborhood and stuff like that.
Got you. Free, what about you?
I would say maybe 8th grade for me. I mean, I was good, but I feel like I really started to see it and notice it like right around 8th grade or going into 8th grade. Because I actually started to play my age group. Playing, and actually me and Chris played a little bit that 8th grade year. We was playing in the JV league. And we were winning, but not only were we winning, we were pretty much dominating the JV league.
Killing people.
So, yeah. So, like, seeing that and being able to do that, like, I understood that, you know, I was pretty good. And, you know, things came kind of easy at that time. And then usually just took that confidence and went from 8th grade and, you know, took that into high school and went from there pretty much.
Got you. Yeah. one thing I've definitely noticed about you, you're definitely a quiet dude, but you are competitive as hell. And I was told that, you know, after you lost in the WCACs your freshman year, that you turned to Father Damien and was like, we're not losing again. We're gonna run off 3 straight. So that was really cool to hear. I was also told that you were Coach Jones' first blue chip recruit at DeMatha. So I don't know if that's I don't know if
you ever talk to Coach Jones, he'll always tell you that. He'll tell you I'm his first. All the guys that have came but after me, and you know the success that all these guys have had, he will always say I'm his first. So you know I can take that in any day and go with that. So
and y'all won a national championship too, right? 2006.
Yeah, my junior year we went 34-1. We should have never lost that game against O'Connell, at O'Connell, actually. I remember it like yesterday. You know, we lost to, you know, a teammate of mine that happened to be my teammate later on, Jason Clark. And we lost to them at O'Connell. We should have never lost that game, but it was better that we lost that game and not, you know, anytime after that. So
I was gonna say you're clearly over it.
yeah, I'm gone past that now. You know?
That was really like the only time after y'all lost that game, we went to #1 in the area for like a week.
Yeah.
And then we lost the next game.
Georgia ball lasted, huh? All right, so let's talk about Georgetown. Tell me something that y'all know now, you know, after your experience that most people don't know about Georgetown, whether it's, you know, something about the culture, something about the athletic program, the fans, the support, you know, something that people outside of Georgetown don't really know.
That's a good question.
Something that it's a lot that they don't know. Yeah. I mean, like with any program, you know, it's a lot of stuff that when you're inside that building, it's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. But I don't know how to answer that, man. To give you a real like what they don't know. Shit, we was in the gym for 4 hours every day.
Didn't matter if it was a game or the next day or anything like that. It was 4 hours every day.
You know, I think people underestimate how serious of a business college basketball is. And, like when you're getting recruited and stuff like that, it's you're gonna get wined and dined, and they're gonna show you all the glitz and glamour of everything, which is part of the game too, which is part of the hustle, which is cool. But you don't understand that it's such a business, you know, and the coaches and the school and university are all benefiting off of what you do on the court or what you do in your respective field and stuff. So I don't know if there's anything, I mean, you know, like on our podcast, we talk about a lot of different stuff because we interview all of our former teammates and all of our former Hoyas. So you'll get random stories about different experiences at Georgetown, but it's nothing really out of the ordinary to me. You know, it's kind of just the overall college experience that you got to go through, the routine of class, dealing with your social life, dealing with practice, dealing with trying to figure out how to get time, dealing with how to try to win games or travel and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's nothing too crazy, to be honest.
Okay. Let's talk too about you know, Georgetown, especially in the 90s, but continuing on in the early 2000s was really known. You know, playing for either one of the Thompsons, you know, was something that a lot of Black men wanted to do. Coming up, as far as having someone in your corner, someone to mentor you, to talk about stuff on and off the court. And you know, Coach Thompson was big on you know, establishing rights for student athletes, you know, walking off the court in protest of a rule for college entrance exams that he felt inordinately affected, you know, African-American communities when applying to college, especially student athletes. That was really harmful. So, you know, talk about that and, you know, kind of what you learned about, you know, what it is to be a Black man in this country, you know, from Coach Thompson at a place like Georgetown.
It's well, you know, we didn't get to play for him, so I mean, we don't have. We didn't play for him, but you know, he was, you know, big impact on, you know, our teams. Just us walking past him, like just him just being around and just knowing the coach that he was at the time, or the Hall of Fame coach that he was. Like it was just, it was a big impact just to have him around. He's just always giving me words of encouragement. Words of, they may not be good all the time, but, just him being around and just, caring for, his son's teams at that time. It was just good to have him around and stuff like that.
Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with that because we saw a different phase of Big John. We saw a different phase. We didn't see him as a coach. So by the time he was around us, his son was the coach. Art was our coach, JT3. So Big John was more of a sense of kind of just an overseer. He was like an overseer. He was more of a person that he would tell you when you're doing wrong. He would tell you you're doing right. I think he took an interest to me because I was in my major was government. My major was international relations. And at that time, when we were in school, was the first time that Obama was running for office. So he was, real adamant of paying attention to what's going on, trying to understand why you voting for this guy, why the significance of this guy. So he kind of had an influence over us in just a sense of understanding more than just a game. We were already trying to figure out how to run to Princeton. So it wasn't like he was giving us too many, gems on the court other than just playing hard and busting somebody's ass. It was more of just his impact and just his overall kind of father figure type of image that he presented for us. But it wasn't necessarily Big John wasn't our coach. So we didn't get that type of connection. Our coach was, who actually JT3 is actually very approachable once you sit down and talk to him.
Right.
You can talk to him. It ain't like he was unapproachable or anything like that.
Yep.
But in a way, he was very similar to Free. He was very quiet and his demeanor was kind of low key. So, JT3 was cool, man. He gave us a different perspective on how to govern things, how to train, how to manage your just imbalance. Because he had a family, he had kids, he had a wife. So it was a good understanding of how to manage and balance all of that at one time. So, it just gives a different perspective on life. I think me and Free benefited for the simple fact that we grew up in a household with two parents. So coming into college, we already had kind of a stable background. We already had a foundation behind us that we had the knowledge. We kind of had the understanding of what it was to be a civilized Black man. So
Gotcha.
So it wasn't like we were searching for a father figure or something like that when we went to school.
I thought it was always interesting just hearing the different things about him, how he had to be a politician at times, talking to boosters, talking to people, in academia at Georgetown. And then, it's also, talking with the team, like two very different versions of him, but, all the same dude. I'm going to ask you guys to share, your best Big John story, and I'll go first. I don't know if I told Free this one, but I walked into the gym, McDonough, for the Kenner League. And I had my Syracuse bag on, which I wasn't thinking about at the time. I really should have been. And I walk in and, everyone's kind of glaring at me. And then I look back, I'm like, oh, shit, that's why. And at halftime, I had to go up and meet him. So I, walked over, said, what's up, coach? Really respect everything you did here, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, that's great. And then he's like, you went to Syracuse? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna hold that shit against you, right? He looked at me with a straight face, and I had no idea if he was messing or not. And then he just bust out laughing at me. So we were just joking for a little bit after that. But definitely very missed, especially in the basketball community. So I know you guys got one or two. So let's
you can't walk in Georgetown in the summertime.
Like on the podcast.
And think, what I'm saying? Like you gotta know what you're doing now. That just can't be something that you just do, just being naive to where you at.
I'm not carrying it on my laptop, so yeah, it was gonna happen eventually. So
We just wore the Marco Polo today. It's the same thing.
Right.
Doing it again.
All right. Anyways, let's move past that. Let's hear your best Big John story.
We had a segment on our podcast where we, right, rest in peace to Big John and you know, respect to the whole entire Thompson family, where we shared, me and Free shared some funny stories about Big John and some serious stories about Big John. But the probably the one that I remember the most is me and Free walking out the gym. And I don't know if we were going to eat or if we were going up to Yates to lift or something. I don't know what we was doing. But we walking out the gym and Coach is walking out. And at this time, Coach is older. You know, he walks a little bit more fragile. He wore Crocs. He was probably the first dude I saw that wore Crocs every day, to be real with you. Like, Big John, for real. He used to wear Crocs every day before it was like a thing. Like before everybody was wearing Crocs every day. And you know, it was like a puddle of water right in front of the door, you know? And I'm like, yo, Coach, I'm like, yo, watch out for this water. He was like, don't worry, son. I walk on water. You know what I'm saying? And me and Free walking out this joint and Free look at me like, oh, what do you say? I'm like, this man just told me he walk on water. I'm like, oh man, you got it. All right, whatever, you know? So that's a story I'll forever remember, is just for the simple fact that, you know, he was very charismatic in that way. He always had some little slick, funny stuff to say all the time, you know.
Fantastic. Free, you got one?
I mean, yeah, that's probably one of my favorite ones. I mean, it didn't directly happen to me, but I was there when it happened, and that's probably one of the best ones I got. But I think this time, this is more so like him just like trying to explain to me or let me know that, you know, it's not just this game, it's you got plenty of others. So pretty much you got to be consistent. And, you know, I want to say this was like my freshman year, you know, I think I just scored like maybe like 18 points. Let's say like 18 points. 18 in the Princeton might be like 22, 24 points somewhere else.
Yeah.
Easily. Right. So, you know, I'm feeling good. You know, I'm a freshman. I just scored 18 points, feeling good about myself. And I think he saw that I was feeling good. I may not be like, you know, the most expressive and stuff like that, but I feel like he just felt that I was feeling good about myself. So, you know, I'm walking out of the building. He's sitting there and he's like, you ain't do nothing yet. Like, and that's like the nice way of how he put it. Like, you know, you did nothing yet.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. Like I didn't even really know how to answer. I'm like, okay. Like, look, like this is early. You ain't do nothing yet. And I'm like, damn. Like, so I try to like, kind of like not try to like let it get to me, but I started to walk on. He was like, but wait, good game though. And I was like, okay. And like I just walked out like confused, like trying to like figure it out. Cause you know, at 18, you're not thinking about stuff. Oh, I had 18. I'm like, man, I had 18. I'm hyped. And I think how he was trying to make it seem was like, look, you got to be consistent all the time and not just, you know, this one game. Yeah, be happy, but, you know, you ain't done yet. So
right.
That's the one I got with. So.
The thing about Big John that was really crazy is like, you would leave his presence with two totally different perspectives of what just happened. You know what I'm saying? To give an example, I don't know if anybody's seen this clip when Andre Berto was explaining when he fought Floyd Mayweather. And he was like, yo, I'm literally in the fight, right? And I'm in a fight and Floyd is moving. He doing all this wild stuff. He breathing crazy. You know, I'm throwing a punch. He's looking at the punch and all that stuff. So then next thing I know, the round ends. And he's like, did I get hit? I mean, am I hurt? Is he tired? You don't know what to really expect. You don't know what just happened. Like, you'll leave the whole situation like, did I do like Free said? Did I play good, or am I? Is he saying I need to really work on what I'm doing because that wasn't what needs to be done here? You know, you will leave the situation just thinking about whatever he said and trying to figure out what to do next.
Right.
So, like, okay, you know,
You definitely like getting in people's heads for sure.
yeah, it was a mind game that he'll play with you, and then at the end of the day, he would laugh.
Right.
You know, he'll laugh, and so it was very especially for, like he said, like Free said, for like being an 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, you're very impressionable at that time. So you fucked up. You don't know what.
You not really listening to what he's trying to tell you, but
it was
in your own world at that time. So
you like, man, all right.
All right, two more quick questions about your college stuff, and then we'll move on. So, would your game have been different in today's college game?
If we were at Georgetown now, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The style that they're playing now and the way that they're playing now. Now you gotta take this with, you know, and it's crazy that me and Free are sitting here talking about this, because at the end of the day, Free is top 10 in scoring. I think he's top 10. I'm top 20 in scoring. I'm top 10 in assists. I think I'm like 6 or 5 or something like that. And both of us feel that we use probably 60% of our actual talents while we were at 50% of our actual skill set while we were at Georgetown, because of the way that we ran things at Georgetown. Now, we played in a more free-flowing offense. We played in a system where we were able to run more, get more transition buckets. We had personal sets especially for Austin, we had sets where it's more pick and rolls for myself. Yeah, the numbers would have been drastically higher. And granted, I got injured, so I didn't play most of my freshman year. I missed maybe almost 20 games my freshman year, and then I got hurt again in my senior year. So you can imagine the body of work if we actually had a full 4 years together in a system that is like now. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely, it'd be different. Not that matters. You know what I'm saying?
Buckets.
Not that matters, but I'm just, yeah, absolutely. I think it would be a whole different situation.
Got you. Okay.
I agree. You know, and I mean, it was 12 years ago, or however long that is. Like, I mean, thinking about it now, like, yeah, okay, yeah, that could have happened, or stuff like that. But now it's just like, all right, whatever. We did what we did over there. That's what it is.
What's a matchup or game that you always look forward to, whether it was the arena, the fans, maybe you didn't like a specific coach? What's one that you look forward to?
You really got to ask that?
I mean, come on, man. That's that's obvious.
Within Syracuse, like a specific player, was Johnny there at the time that you were there, Chris?
Johnny is our year.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny came in when we came into school.
Johnny was McDonald's with us. He was All-American with us. I mean, obviously Syracuse. Syracuse was always big. I would say Syracuse was big. Villanova was big, and I like playing at Pittsburgh.
Fans crazy there. Yeah, that was a super underrated environment for sure.
And they were tough to play. They were tough. Winning at Pittsburgh was, I think we stopped their win streak up there of like 30-some games or something like that up at Pitt.
Yeah.
That was, I used to look forward to that game. For whatever reason, I used to always look forward to playing St. John's because we used to play at the Garden. And Villanova, because I ain't gonna front. I used to try to see what type of suit Jay Wright was gonna come out with. He used to be fly on that sideline. So,
Yeah.
No.
You got some? Oh, I'm sorry.
Pretty much the same thing. Villanova, the Syracuse games. Going up to New York and playing St. John's at the Garden. you know, just for my family up in New York to come and see us play too. So, you know, the New York, New Jersey area, you know, Rutgers and Seton Hall. And then, you know, going down to South Florida, because, you know, that time it's winter time. You going down there, it's like 80 degrees down there. So, like, you know, going there and play down there was pretty cool too, though, just to get away from that cold weather every time we played them. So, yeah.
Feel that. All right. So I was watching one of your old games last night when you guys beat Duke at home in front of Obama and the current standing president, Joe Biden. You know, that environment was crazy. It was electric. Chris, that one sequence, you got a block. Your guy came off a curl. You smacked it. They got the rebound. You stole the ball from the big, and then you went to the other end and pulled up in transition and just cooked them. Like it was super loud in there. So let's talk about kind of the current state of the program. You know, what do you want to see? Change is a dramatic word, but what would you like to see a bit more of, whether it's, you know, recruiting locally, maybe, you know, a different assistant coach, maybe they need to recruit a different type of player, maybe a different system, kind of what would be your quick fix, so to speak?
I'll answer. Well, first off, going back to the first part of the question, because that was kind of a loaded question. With the Duke game, that atmosphere was crazy in the sense that, I mean, Free remembers like we knew that Obama was showing up. So there was the dogs, there was high security to get off the bus. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole different experience. Like it was, I mean, we had to take all our stuff off the cell phones, everything had to be checked. It was like, okay, he's really coming to the game. That's when I knew when we got off the bus.
Game. And we're the ones that playing the game. Like
we playing the game. We like, dang, okay, why we playing the game? What we got to get all this extra security for? So, you know, that atmosphere was crazy. It was packed in there. And then add the fact that we playing against Nolan, who is a good friend of ours, Nolan Smith. And then also, it was also at the fact that I got recruited by Duke, Greg Monroe got recruited by Duke, and then Brian Kelly, who we thought was going to come to Georgetown, went to Duke, and he's playing against us. So it was a lot of things that was kind of involved in that game, just a lot of personal matchups and it was just great competition at the time. We playing against Duke. Coach K is on the sideline, John Shire is there. You know, they had a great team. Actually, they won a national championship that year. So that was a great atmosphere. It was a great time to be a Hoya. You know, it was a great time to be a Hoya. You know, Obama got on the mic and he's talking to Clark Kellogg, and all he talks about is the Georgetown guards. And he's talking about me, Free, Jason Clark. You know, so it was kind of something that you'll never forget. You know, is that he recognized that what we were doing and recognized us for our talent. So that was special. In terms of Georgetown and the direction of the program, I think for me, you can always, when you lose, and you know we're going through a situation where you lose, there's always a lot of answers. There's always people going to have a lot of answers. There's people always going to have a lot of critiques on everything. You know, like for instance, playing overseas, you lose 2 games in a row or whatever, you're going to have a lot of meetings. You're going to have to deal with a lot of meetings throughout the week. Oh, what we going to do? Everything is this. You want to make changes. I don't think it's really that we need to make changes. Yes, I think it would be benefit if we had some former alumni on staff and some familiarity with staff to recruit locally and all that stuff. Yes, absolutely. I just think it's a matter of consistency. You know, if we got a matter of consistent players, we got a matter of consistent guys going through the program, that solves a lot. Because if you think about it, if we had the same guys that Coach Pat brought in 2 years ago, this is the year that we're a top 25 team. I mean, with James Akinjo, Mac McClung, Josh LeBlanc, if these guys were juniors right now, you know, this will be a team that's competing to be in a top 4 spot in the NCAA tournament. because they didn't have that experience. They didn't have that gamemanship behind them, and everybody kind of knows what is going to happen on the court. You know, you kind of got a good feel. Like for us, me and Free, by the time me and Free always had extreme chemistry on the court, but as a collective unit, by the time we were juniors, we knew what was going on. You know, we was on point as juniors because we went through all the battles. We went through all that stuff. So I think more than anything, and it's hard in this day and age because there's a lot of one and dones. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants to figure it out right now. But the consistency of having a program and getting that training and understanding, I think is probably the best fix. Now, the only thing is, are we willing to be patient for that? You know, I think that's the hardest thing to try to dissect. And so for me, it's just having some consistency, because if Coach Pat has some consistency, then he would know his rotation. He would know what to expect from a certain play. He would know what to expect to this play. If he throws this guy in, but this guy's a freshman, he don't know if he can throw him in right now. Well, he's a transfer junior. You don't know what he can do. So, you know, I think it kind of puts him in a tough situation, puts the staff in a tough situation, and the players in a tough situation, because it's all kind of fresh and it's new. And granted, you know, we ain't had no preseason. So it's a lot of shit that kind of plays a role into having a successful season. And as you know, Free knows, and you're around the game as well, that you can't turn a team. You gotta work that. You gotta train. You know, you gotta have some consistency to know what's going on. You know, it all sounds good. We put this piece together. And that, I mean, you still gotta figure that shit out as a collective.
Yep.
You know, and Duke is going through the same issue right now, you know, because they all fresh. They all got a lot of young guys. It's a lot of inconsistency. It's a lot of Kentucky is going through the same thing, you know, so you're starting to see that it's no real quick fix. It's a matter of, now these guys come back next year, they're going to be better. The guys come back for his third year, they'll be even better. So it's just a matter of consistency and, you know, I think we got spoiled for a minute, you know, with these and top tier players.
Yeah, you got Aminu Muhammad coming in next year too. I think he's really good, and you still got Qudus Wahab as well. So I like his game a lot. Who's a player that, you know, especially from this area, there's a lot of talent that, you know, quote unquote didn't make it. You know, who's a player that if one or two things broke differently, he would have been a good to elite NBA player. You know, whether it was he got hurt, he got drafted to a, you know, bad fit for his game, you know, the coaching staff, a lot of overturned front office inconsistency. Does one come to mind for you?
Yeah. I'm going to say Darnell Dotson. He was a 6'8", 1, 2 through 4. Can do everything out there. You know, just I don't want to say so. I don't know his whole story like that, but I mean, I feel like, you know, if one or two things do go right for him, he's playing in the NBA right now. He was at Kentucky. He was like their knockdown shooter at that time with John Wall and Eric Bledsoe and Boogie Cousins and all them. I just feel like, you know, if just one or two things went right for him, he'd be playing right now, I think.
Definitely Darnell Dotson, because Darnell Dotson got the size, he got the athletic, he got the ball handling. He's really an NBA talent when he was in the 9th grade. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he's one of them. Me, I'm biased. I say Austin. You know, I think Austin. You know, I think Austin, if certain situations were different and we went to a system that prepared their guards more for the next level, you know, because it was a big man school, you know, and we've talked about this in the past. I think part of the reason why Georgetown is not getting the top tier recruits is because me and this guy right here didn't get to the next level. I got to the next level for a short stint, but we didn't get to the next level how we were supposed to get to the next level. So I think that played a major role because everybody was watching. Everybody was watching. Everybody was watching. We were the two best players in the area. We were the two McDonald's All-Americans. We had all the respect, all the accolades that you can have as a high school athlete. And I think just not nurturing that and unleashing that to the fullest potential to understand that if this don't pan out, then everybody else is going to start going where? Villanova, Duke, and winning national Syracuse and winning national titles, Maryland, and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I would say Austin because
from the area, like we didn't go somewhere else to go to school,
right.
Stuff like that. I mean, high school. Like there's a lot of guys that, you know, are from the area but went somewhere else to go to high school. Yep. And then, you know, went to wherever they went and did whatever they did at wherever they went to. Yep. It was just me and him we went to high school here, went to college here. Yeah. We're two McDonald's All-Americans from the area. And when I mean from there, like I said, we went to high school here. Yeah. So when he means everybody was watching, literally the whole DMV was watching, from the OGs to the youth. Like everyone was watching.
To all the great players that you see, Markel, Victor Oladipo, the Quinn Cooks, the Grant brother, all of them were watching and pay attention and seeing like, oh, okay, Georgetown got some, you know, what's happening over there? Let's see what's going on. Then they like, you know what? Let's go somewhere else.
Sprinkling all everywhere else.
You know, so I think that's what happened. You know, so in terms, that's why I think it's another significant reason why you need to have some former local players or former players on staff at Georgetown to help kind of be that bridge in between the DMV kids that are, you know, that are coming up now, because this is the, you know, it's the best area for, I think, for basketball players in the country. Me, you know, obviously I'm biased and, you know, we biased, and then you got Chicago and you got LA and all that stuff, but I think the best talent is right here. If you look at college basketball, you got to have somebody from the DMV to win a national title. I mean, that's just how it's been going in the last 5 years.
But then they actually start to look at the rosters and see that.
It's facts.
So let's talk about the pros. You know, let's talk about the G League first. So, you know, either one of you that has one, you know, talk about the G League. You know, the call ups, the style of play, the grind. You know, the travel. You know, inconsistent pay. Obviously, it's not at the level that it is now. You know, when you guys were playing in it, you know, 10 years ago. So kind of talk about that, you know, give me a good G League story.
The G League is a grind. It's a grind. You got to really work down there. You know, some people are lucky, some people aren't. But that thing is a grind, man, from travel to, you know, sometimes you may play 3 games like in a row. You know, some days you have, you know, long bus rides and you have to play that same day type stuff. Like it's a grind, man. You know, the style of play, you know, up there, they say the G League, you don't really play defense because, you know, each game, you know, teams may be 156 to 152, stuff like that. So, you know, it's an up and down game. You know, everybody is trying to get to the NBA. So, you know, I wouldn't say, you might have to be a little selfish down there because, you know, everybody pretty much is looking for them stuff out there. But you playing as a team, but everybody, you know, you may be open in that corner, but, you know, he sees you, but he's like, I might got to go get my pretty. It could be the game on the line too. It could be 5 seconds and you literally are standing nobody's going to be there. And they
Right.
like, man, if I make the game-winning shot, I might get this call up. So those are some of the things you might have to deal with playing in the G League. But for the 100%, it's a grind. Man. It's a real grind.
Gotcha. What about you, Chris?
It's a grind, man. It definitely is a grind. It's not inconsistent pay. It's low pay.
Consistently low pay.
It's low pay, but it's not inconsistent. Inconsistent pay is when you come overseas and you start getting paid. That's inconsistent. But this is low pay, But the thing about the G League that's cool is you gain a lot of knowledge about the game, because usually the coaches in the G League are big time coaches, man, because they're all aspiring, just like we're aspiring to play in the NBA or play in the high level of Europe or something like that. They're aspiring to do the same thing. So one of my coaches is now the head coach of Indiana Pacers.
My coach too.
His coach too, so it's like you're getting a great tutelage of an understanding and wisdom of the game, It's a grind, but also you get to work on your craft. Yeah, you in the G League, you go in there for two things. You want to get called up to the NBA, and at the same time, you working on your game.
Yep.
And if you understand that, then you can kind of weed out all the other kind of nonsense that's associated with the G League. It's kind of, you can get very like, the grind is crazy. Like, for instance, like we played a back-to-back game. We played in I want to say like Canton, Ohio. We played Canton Charge one game, and then we flew out to play Bakersfield. And I was on the Iowa Energy. Free played there too. It was on the Iowa Energy, and we had a back-to-back game. We flew to Bakersfield. We warming up in our sweatsuits because our uniforms from the night before hadn't got washed yet. So they washing the joints as we're warming up. You putting the game on, you putting your joint on, like with 3 minutes left, your jersey and your shorts still damp. You know what I'm saying? Or you may be in a situation where you might be flying with the team that you about to play on the plane in the middle of a back-to-back game. So there's certain things like that that's kind of unorthodox, but at the same time, the I would say the overall kind of farm system of the NBA is increasing. Guys are making more money. It's getting more recognition. It's getting better as the years go on. But it's not a bad league, man, because it's some dudes flat out hoopers. Yeah, you gonna run into some dudes that's tough, They're just trying to find your niche. And I think it's even easier now to play if you really can play, because back then it was, you could be playing for the Iowa Energy, but it might be 4 NBA teams associated with that G League team.
Right.
So if they got a whole bunch of young dudes, they going to send a whole busload of dudes down to the team, 5-6 guys, and all them going to play, and you just going to sit the bench for however long they there. So it's a little different now because everybody kind of got their own individual team now. I think almost every team has their own.
Almost every team got one.
You can kind of get, if you can hoop and you can withstand it, you're gonna get an opportunity. You're gonna get opportunities to be seen. You're gonna get opportunities to play. You're gonna get opportunities to produce. So the G League is fun though, man. I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it because you get to be home, you get to play at the crib. It's a different experience, and it was special for me because I was an all-star in the G League and I got called up. So I enjoyed it. It is tough though. I ain't gonna sit here in front like it's all peaches and cream and everything is, but it's fun though. You get to play at home, you get to be around a lot of your dudes. It's like kind of an extension to college basketball for real.
Yeah.
I think
you're traveling most of the time too, though.
Yeah.
So get to see different places too. So
it's definitely an uptick too. I think it was like either 65 or 80% of NBA players nowadays have played in the G League, which is it's cool to see. It's really
and I think that's a good thing because that's similar to baseball, man. That's similar to baseball and how they make their farm system and how they got so many different levels. And it's only going to get better as time goes on. And fortunately when we get, I don't know if they're gonna have a G League this year or how they're gonna do it, if they're gonna do it in a bubble or what. But
they said something about doing a bubble.
G League bubble and in Florida at IMG, I think.
Yeah. Right. So, it's just gonna get better once the pandemic gets passed and things, and hopefully this pandemic gets passed and all that. And, I think everything will keep moving in the right direction. But the NBA is such a major brand, dude. So it's only a matter of time before everybody starts benefiting from just the amount of money in the NBA now.
Yeah, got you. All right, real quick, I got a couple miscellaneous ones after that, and I want to get you guys out of here. So give me your best overseas story, whether that's, wacky travel, payment, playing against, someone that from college, language barrier, travel. Give me your best overseas basketball story.
Well, since we on this situation right now, we on this episode. One of my best stories is finally beating Austin Freeman. Finally beating Austin Freeman in an official basketball game, and that happened to be maybe 5-6 years ago now. We went at it in Italy, and I got that win. So that's just one of my stories. All the other stuff, I'm coming out with a book, and y'all gonna have to purchase that to hear all my.
You got the highlight tape from that game? I gotta see that.
Nah, but if you look at the Dawg Talk picture of me and Free, the silhouette of us, like this, that's from when I kicked his ass.
They won by like 2 points. Yeah, they won, but they won by like 2 points. Don't make it seem like we just outright kicked that ass.
You got your Labata there.
Yeah, they won, and they won at our spot too, though. So
yeah,
you got one.
I want to say my first year. This is coming out of college, so like traveling. Georgetown, we're taking a private plane to games, and if we bus, we may bus maybe the longest maybe 4 hours up to New York. I think up to New York, and we went down to North Carolina, South Carolina. I think we flew to South Carolina, but we bused in North Carolina too. So our longest bus ride had been like 4 hours. So my first year, I'm playing in Fort Lee, which is like kind of towards the northern part of Italy. So we had to drive down to Naples, and I want to say from Fort Lee to Naples, that might be like 19 hours. Right?
Dang it.
Yeah, so we leave Saturday morning. We drive, or actually, I lied. We leave Friday night or whatever, and we stopped a couple places. So we didn't get down to Naples till like maybe Saturday night. We played Sunday at like 4:00 that day. I'm talking about, when we get down there Saturday night, our coach, who's Serbian coach, I still talk to him to this day, Nenad Vucevic. We had shooting, like we had a light practice type thing. I'm talking about like 9:45, almost 10 p.m. We got a light practice. I'm talking about like 5-on-0 and going over the offense and going over the defense, like maybe an hour and a half.
Man,
like
talking about you want to get your legs moving.
Yeah, it's been a long bus ride, guys. Yeah, we could do this tomorrow morning.
Right.
Something. Yeah, that happened, and we played. Went back to the hotel, got ready for the game the next day. Woke up. They had us wake up at like 9:30. We ate breakfast, got ready for the game. We ended up losing the game by like 1. The dude shot like a half-court shot, and we ended up losing. And I want to say like that week leading up to the next game was probably been one of the hardest weeks I've ever had in practice overseas, because they were mad we actually lost that game. And it was like, well, we didn't have the proper preparation for this game. We just had a 19-hour bus ride, and then you just supposed to be like, all right, well, we just supposed to be ready. And the floor was slick. The floor was the worst. It was like an ice skating rink. Like it pisses me off to this day because it's like, oh, like it wasn't the best situation. Like
A fire their ops guy, huh? All right, let's move to I got two or three more. So Chris, this is for you because you're a point guard. So what details make point guards great? Is it angles, understanding angles, leadership, change of speed, going from low to high dribble? What details have you learned that make the great point guards great?
It's different styles now, So it's like the style that I grew up in terms of a point guard. The Rod Stricklands, the Jason Kidds, the Gary Paytons, um, Steve Nash's, those style, John Stockton, those style of guards are kind of obsolete now. It's not like this, It's more of it's become like a Trae Young type now. It's become more like a explosive guard, even in the sense that like a Derrick Rose type is even kind of obsolete because what crazy is that Derrick Rose was actually a pure point guard that he was forced to score and then he became a scorer in his own right. But for me, it's just understanding personnel, understanding your personnel, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, understanding obviously change of pace. Pace is a major role. Understanding pick and rolls. But it all boils down to your personnel, And I think the biggest thing of a point guard, one word that I've adopted from overseas is playmaker, it is in a sense is the leader, as the leader of the team. And if you're a leader of any team, of any profession, any job, anything, to me, a leader is trying to figure out solutions. That's what a leader means. You have to figure out the solution to make your job, your team, the most successful. So there's not a really like a blueprint now on how you can become a point guard. I think it depends on your skill set. I think it depends on what type of feel you have for the game, what kind of, just kind of what overall skill set you have. I think that really depends on that. So for me, I don't know, man. It's different because the point guard position has changed so much, from what I was groomed at under and what I was taught under, which is not a bad thing. It's just, it's become more of the game has become a totality thing where everybody is a point guard. Everybody has to be on a perimeter. Everybody has to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. So, positionless basketball is the way things are going now. I don't see too many just flat out pure point guards out here today. It's not Rondo is a dying breed. You feel me? Like, it's not like that. So it really is based off a need and necessity at position. I mean, on each team. To me, if I was to talk about what if my style, that's different. I would have to see the type of player and I can dissect from there. But I think the biggest thing is being a playmaker and being a leader. And to me, being a leader is finding solutions to make your team the most successful. So that's my answer.
Got you. So next question, Shaq, really came out of nowhere to, talk to Donovan Mitchell, after a game where I think he had 30 some. And, he basically said, you don't have what it takes to be great. And Donovan Mitchell was like, okay, whatever, and just kind of blew him off, on air. And I don't really understand what Shaq was getting at, if he was just trying to motivate him and he doesn't actually feel that way. It was awkward to me because he didn't really present a solution. It wasn't really like, I think you could be great if you did this, if you came off the screen this way. Talk about that, and you just kind of like the stereotype nowadays that it's just old players just hating, just because, the young guns, these young whippersnappers are doing things so different.
I think LeBron kind of said it when he touched on it. He said, there's constructive criticism and then there's straight up hating. And like you said, Shaq didn't give a solution or anything like that. So it made it seem like, oh, you literally are just downplaying him as a player. And mind you, that game, I think Donovan Mitchell had like 36 points.
Yeah.
And they won.
Yeah.
So, like, you coming out to him and saying that, I mean, I get where Donovan Mitchell was at with it. Like, okay, it's like you telling me this, but what? Like, you not saying, okay, well, yeah, you had 36 points in this game, but hey, you could have did this a little bit more so it helps you guys in the long run. Something like that. But just the fact that you just said, oh, I don't think you can get to that next level. It just sounded like he was just straight hating on him.
I thought it was wild because Donovan, like, he's not a dude that doesn't play hard. He's not a dude that doesn't play both ends. He's a team first kid. He's super humble. He works really hard. And also, like, Shaq, you did not work hard when you were a player. So, even though I feel like he accomplished a lot and obviously won a lot, I don't really know that he walked the talk that he's saying right now. But Chris, you look like you got some thoughts on it.
I'm gonna just play devil's advocate because I think it was kind of, it is what it is. If Shaq feel like he want to say that, then the response by Donovan Mitchell was the right response. But also will say this: everybody is super nice these days. Everybody is super nice. Everybody wants to be like, we hugging, we dapping after the game. Yeah, let's work out together. Let's trade jerseys, kumbaya, and all that shit. So the sense of you ain't accomplished nothing or, you ain't really done nothing is kind of like a crazy kind of theory to a lot of these young guys and young superstars in the NBA, as opposed to when Shaq came up or when Kobe came up or when these guys came up, the old heads, it was a different NBA. And the older guys that were veterans in the NBA, so a guy that was maybe 8 years or 9 years in the NBA wasn't 24, he was 33, and they would talk to them like this, like, yeah, you getting buckets, but you ain't done nothing yet, Yeah. So in a sense that I think it's kind of the way it was presented to, to Shaq, so like I was telling you before, Aaron, before I got on this joint, that I was watching The Last Dance. And as I'm watching The Last Dance, the whole thing was about, Jordan took him years to beat Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons and the Bulls teams and all that. Then when they finally beat the Pistons, Isaiah walks off the court and the Pistons walk up to court. They don't shake hands. And everybody's like, oh, that's so disrespectful. That's so disrespectful. But Isaiah was like, shit, that's how the torch was passed. Before that, when we was battling with Boston, they walked off the court in the middle of the joint too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, then it became a situation where, guys started to shake hands. You got to show respect. We want to be sportsmanship and kind of showing class in the game. I think Shaq was just giving a different perspective to these young guys because these young guys are always hearing just glowing things about everything. They're getting all the money. They're getting everything. So I think Shaq was just like, look, yeah, you had 37 tonight. You know what I'm saying? You're a budding young star, but in playoff time, you come up short. You lost to Denver in the playoffs. You had a shot to win. That's kind of the mentality he's kind of, it's a little bit of different tough love. These guys don't get a lot of tough love. They get a lot of love. They get a lot of love, a whole lot of love and a whole lot of money. So if somebody says something like that, it kind of looks at like, oh, he's hating. But what the fuck Shaq got to hate for? Shaq is Shaq, So again, I'm playing devil's advocate, but it's a strong argument because that's how the game is now. Everybody shows love. It's not like they just out here like, somebody says one thing bad about somebody else, then it's news all over the world. It's news everywhere. It's not like you gotta show respect or you automatically considered a hater. So
I think it's interesting too. Just one day when our kids at DeMatha were walking into practice, I was like, "Hey man, who's your favorite NBA team?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't really like a team. I just like da 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 da." And then every kid I asked, I think out of the 17 kids I asked, I think 2 of them had a favorite team, and one of them said the Warriors. I think the other one said the Lakers. So it's just like, all right, well, you clearly have not liked them for very long. But
It's like, why you can't just be a fan of the Wizards and you from here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you can't be a fan of it? You know, the Sixers. This is where you from. You just want to go to where it's all peaches and everything is Hollywood. Everybody winning.
This is old head you coming out. I love it, Chris. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, why not? If that's where you rep, where you from.
I feel that. All right. So last question before we talk about your podcast. Who's an NBA player that you looked and you saw him in the NBA and you're like, man, I bust that man's ass before. there's gotta be a couple.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean,
yeah, it's a couple, but we can save that for off air.
Is that coming in the book, Chris?
No, it ain't even about that. It's just a simple fact that, like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, I smashed this dude. I crushed this dude. I crushed this dude. That's kind of like me kissing and telling on.
All right, man. The game's film's out there. I'm sure we can find it. But all right, we'll take the.
No, you got to understand. Like, me and Free we played against everybody.
Yeah.
So we ran into battles with everybody, and we held our own with everybody. So it's not like, that's why when people mention Free, and Free comes back to DeMatha, they say, yeah, that's my first. Mike Jones says that's my first big one right there. Yeah. That holds weight, So it's a lot of people that we ran across. So yeah, we can start name dropping, but that don't mean nothing, Because then at the end of the day, they can say, yeah, they cooked you too. We cooked you too, So it's just part of the game, man. You're gonna get fried and you're gonna kill some people too.
All right. So the last thing I want to touch on is your guys' podcast. So just talk about how it got started, where you kind of see it going, long term. And then the last question with that is just kind of dream guests that you hope to have on, one day.
Well, it got started because we were invited to jump on another Hoya podcast. We were invited to jump on Gene Smith, who was actually on the '84 national championship team. And, he called me and was like, yo, you think you and Free would jump on the podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And we jumped on the podcast and we got a great reception from the Hoya fans and Hoya alum. They really liked hearing from us and hearing just our opinions on different aspects of the game, different aspects of the current Hoyas, just different current events. And when it relates to Georgetown basketball. And, so we me and Free kind of built our cipher based off of the fact that, it was an audience for us. And, that's how it kind of built. It was very organic. It was nothing that we planned. It was not nothing that we, like, all right, we're going to start this and do this and do that.
Yep.
So, I mean, in terms of us, we just want to keep it growing, man. Keep it moving, keep it kind of propelling and see where we can take it, because there is a lane for it. There's something that's needed in Georgetown because we don't have a lot of strong representation in the media. Syracuse is a media conglomerate. There's a lot of, much respect. It's a lot of people, Mike Tirico. It's a lot of great names that come out of Syracuse on the communications side. That's not what we're known for. Georgetown is known for business.
Law.
That's what we're known for. So we see when it comes to Georgetown basketball, we see that it's a necessity for media. We see that's a necessity for alumni connections. Mm-hmm. There's a necessity for feel good about your program, a sense of style, a sense of just a sense of swagger that we bring, I think is unique to the program. So that's kind of where we at. And in terms of, for me, my bucket list interview is definitely Allen Iverson. That's been my favorite player in my whole life. And Coach Pat, just getting Coach Pat on because he's the greatest Hoya that we ever had, so Yeah, those two is kind of where I'm at.
Free, you got one?
Yeah, Iverson for sure. That's kind of in the works right now. Hopefully we can get him. Yeah, Coach Pat too. Just to have the face of Georgetown, and the head coach of the team now, just to get his perspective on things and stuff. I think those two are probably the biggest one. Maybe even Dikembe. We can get him too because he's pretty funny and I like the way he talks. So
yeah, it should be funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny to me. So yeah, that was probably the three for me.
Got you. All right, the last one. You get to ask me a question. I've been sitting here for like an hour asking y'all a whole rack of questions. You got any for me?
Yeah, why you go to Syracuse?
So I actually only went there for grad school.
So you're not even really.
Okay. Hey man, I still pay my tuition. I don't want to hear nothing.
Oh man, so you wasn't sitting in the student section for real.
I did because I'm from there.
Okay.
So I'm from Rochester, New York, and
Okay.
I was doing a gap year after college, and I really wanted to get into. I eventually want to be a college coach, and so my best connection was working coach Boeheim's camp for like 6 years because I'm from like an hour west of there in Rochester. So I knew the video guy, Todd Blumen, because he runs Coach Boeheim's camp, and I was like, yo, like I wanna work for you, intern from you, learn from you, whatever. And he said, well, you got to be a student. I'm like, well, I'm damn sure not about to go back to undergrad and pay 70 grand to go to this college. So I found a graduate program, intercollegiate athletic advising and support, which is basically just working with student athletes, which I feel like will come in handy down the line, half through the School of Higher Ed and half through the sports management program. So in and out in a year, 15 credits, and got to work for the basketball program in between then, intern with their team, doing video for them during practice, cutting up the film, after the game and stuff like that. And I mean, it opened doors for me to start working with the summer league at DeMatha, which then opened the door for me to work at DeMatha now. So I wouldn't say that I have a huge affinity, to Syracuse because I went there, but I am very grateful for Todd for giving me that opportunity to open in the first door. And obviously Syracuse on the resume definitely will help me down the line. It already has. So it's been great having you guys on. Really appreciate all the knowledge shared. Share with the people your Twitter at. So let us know where we can find you and the podcast.
The Instagram for the Dawg Talk is at Dawg Talk 101, and same with the Twitter. And then my personal handle is Mr. Wright _ Senior SR for Twitter and Instagram.
And mine is at _sugarfree5 on Instagram and Twitter.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Hey, and by the way, Eric Spoelstra started in the film room too, so you might be on that path.
Hey man, doing the best I can. Just keeping my head down for now, working hard. So we'll see where it pans out. Thanks for coming on, guys.
All right, appreciate you.
Appreciate it, AP. All right.